All right, slide 3 in our World War I unit, no more neutrality. Wilson had tried to keep us out of the war. He'd done everything he could, but eventually we are going to get dragged into it. So let's see how we get there. Even after the Lusitania, Wilson makes one last appeal, late January 1917, when he asked for a peace without victory. His argument was that only a negotiated peace without victory could last. If we could get all sides to agree to peace without anybody claiming victory, it might work. Because if somebody claims to be the winner, that means somebody else has to agree to be the loser. And he realizes nobody's going to agree to do that willingly. The only way this works is if all sides agree to negotiate a peace without anybody claiming victory. Germany's response to Wilson's plea for a peace without victory? No. Go away, you silly American. Germany responded by announcing that they would wage unrestricted submarine warfare. They are going to sink all ships in the war zone, meaning all around Europe. If it's floating, Germany's going after it, whether it's American, British, Russian, whatever. Unrestricted submarine warfare is Germany's response to Wilson's plea for a peace without victory. So it's clear Germany's not going to go along with this, and Wilson's going to have his work cut out for him. Now, a very important event happens here. It's known as the Zimmerman Note, or sometimes called the Zimmerman Telegram, because it was actually a telegram. A note or telegram from the German Foreign Secretary, a man named Arthur Zimmerman, to Mexico. Okay, so Germany is sending a telegram to Mexico, hence the political cartoon up here, right? The German guy whispering in the Mexican's ear, right? The Zimmerman Note proposes an alliance between Germany and Mexico. Right? Now, this telegram was intercepted by the British and handed over to the Americans. Right? March 1st, 1917. Okay, so we're now 3 years into the war. March 1917. The Zimmerman Note is intercepted and given to the Americans. Now, this is an interesting proposal, an alliance between Germany and Mexico. Right? Germany doesn't want Mexico to join the war in Europe. That's not going to help them. What Germany is proposing is that Mexico attack the United States and Germany will help them. They will send them soldiers, they will send them weapons, money, whatever it is they need. For the sole purpose of, if the Americans are busy fighting the Mexicans over here, we can't go fight the Germans over there in Europe. So this has nothing to do with Mexico fighting in Europe. This is all about keeping the Americans on this side of the Atlantic. The last thing Germany needs is America joining the war. Right? Now, what do they get out of it? Germany says, look, we'll help you defeat the Americans, and you can get back all the land you lost in the Mexican-American War and even before that. You can get back Texas and Arizona and New Mexico and California, all of that land in the West that Mexico lost to us. Germany says Mexico can get that back. Right? Mexico doesn't buy it. They realize this is an empty promise. Germany has no intention of actually helping Mexico in this. They just want Mexico to attack the United States and keep us busy. Right? Now, the timing of this is significant. Remember, this was intercepted and handed over to the U.S. on March 1st of 1917. Okay, so keep that in your mind. While all that's going on, okay, there has been a revolution. Whoops, back to my highlighter. There we go. There has been a revolution in Russia. Russia has taken the worst of this fighting. Right? More Russians have died than anybody in the war. And they've had about enough of it. Right? The Tsar is running Russia, and the poor people are, as usual, the ones doing the fighting and dying, so that the rich can get richer here. At least that's the argument. There is a group in Russia leading the revolution, the uprising. They are called the Bolsheviks. Right? The Bolsheviks. Right? They are led by a man named Vladimir Lenin. And here you see the propaganda poster down here in the bottom. There's Lenin there. And what would become the Russian flag. Okay, there's Lenin. And it works. The government is overthrown. The peasants rise up. This is the beginning, very, 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 very beginnings, of eventually what will lead to socialism taking over Russia, and eventually communism and the formation of the Soviet Union by the time we get to World War II here. So this is where it all starts. Okay, the Bolsheviks overthrow the Czarist government. Lenin takes over, and the first thing he does, right, in early 1918, okay, is to withdraw Russia from the war. Okay? This is very early 1918, okay? January, February. Okay? So Russia leaves the war. Now this is significant because with Russia out of the war, Germany and Austria-Hungary, and by this point really it's just Germany left, Germany only has to fight on one side, a one-front war. They had been fighting a two-front war. Russians on one side, the French and the British on the other side. This is a big deal. Okay? Now Germany can concentrate all of its forces to the west. Okay? So again, early 1918. Okay? Germany would continue its U-boat attacks, and four unarmed U.S. merchant ships were sunk. Now, a merchant ship is simply that. It carries goods. It's a business ship. It's going to sell goods, trade with the British. But again, Germany has declared unrestricted submarine warfare, so they're going after anything. 4 unarmed U.S. ships are sunk. All the Americans are dead, which leads President Wilson, begrudgingly, to ask Congress to declare war. Okay? Now this is April 1917. Remember, follow the timeline. Zim Note, March of 17. Bolshevik Revolution going on at exactly the same time, early 1917. And on April 2nd, 1917, Wilson asks Congress to declare war on the Central Powers. Right? Now, not everybody is for this. There's a good chunk of Americans, even after Americans are dead, that don't believe we need to be in this war. There's quite a bit of opposition. Right? 6 senators and 50 representatives voted against the war declaration, including the first female congresswoman named Jeanette Rankin. Okay? So you get a good little handful of U.S. congressmen voting against the declaration of war. However, it's not enough to stop it. So the U.S. would join World War I, the Great War, and declare war on the Central Powers. Wilson declares he is going to make the world safe for democracy.